Everybody, thanks for having us. Thanks so much to Bob Evans for hosting us. I hope at the lunch break we're getting some of that mac and cheese. That looks incredible. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, I just cracked a joke about the mac and cheese, but hopefully not. So, all right. So I'm joined today by Jim McCoy, who's had a legendary 20-year run at Nationwide. Today we're talking about fostering a culture of excellence through sports marketing. So, Jim, obviously, 20 years, a lot of change, a lot of growth. I'm sure there's so many highlights and challenges that you've had to overcome. So first, we'd love for you to just give us a quick breakdown on your career trajectory and growth at Nationwide. Then we can dive into how sports marketing really fits into the overall marketing landscape at Nationwide.
Yeah, thank you, Brain Innovators. I've had the honor to participate in a few of your events, and great to have you here in Columbus. With Nationwide 20 years, just hit that milestone last week, which is amazing how it's flown by. And I was in the CPG space with Louisville Rubbermaid before that, and with the Blue Jackets here locally before that. But a fun run to build a portfolio that we have today. We've had our pivots and blue sky opportunities as well over that time, and to have a strong company like Nationwide that we've been able to lean into some really important sports marketing partnerships has been incredibly rewarding, and to kind of build a team to make an impact to the business and ultimately help the broader marketing has just been a wonderful ride. Looking forward to the next one.
So you oversee all of the sports media, sports property, and talent relationships. What I've seen on the local, the regional, and the national level has just been really incredible. And I think at the kind of the connective thread throughout it all is that community approach to how Nationwide attacks their marketing. So we'd love to hear how you go through about building those partnerships and building those relationships on the local all the way up to the national level.
Yeah, marketing in general exists at Nationwide to create that favorable selling environment. And we want to partner with our intermediaries to improve their consideration of our products and services, and then from a broader awareness, are doing a lot of marketing to help connect with the consumer. Sports marketing is trying to fit in and do that at a higher rate. Otherwise, we would just put all that money into general market advertising. And we think we can connect with audiences, and we've proven that out over the years in a more efficient way in a lot of cases. So we're doing a lot to drive the brand, and those are from our big partnerships like the NFL and the NWSL. We're doing a lot to drive the business, which creating entertainment opportunities, tentpole events, immediate sales opportunities like the 401k plan with the Kansas City Chiefs that we have. And then community philanthropic is in the DNA of Nationwide, and it fits so well in all of our sponsorships that we have, whether that's Nationwide Children's Hospital and the $60+ million that the sports marketing team has raised since 2011, or the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award, which rewards players for what they do on the field, but more importantly, what they do off. So I think building this strategy of tier one sports properties, tier one talent to be the mouthpiece of those sports properties. You saw it in the creative, the great creative that was shared earlier from Bob Evans. Those spokespersons can really make a great impact on the message, and then the media and the activation to kind of bring it all to life.
I got to imagine partnering with Peyton Manning is a total breakthrough for you, and when you're competing against your competitors who are spending hundreds of millions, probably billions of dollars. How was a partnership like that so relevant to kind of make you guys break through?
Yeah, I track back. It started, we worked with Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the sport of NASCAR, and he was the face of NASCAR. We had a very authentic connection to Nationwide, and we were able to build that partnership over that time, and really cut our teeth in theme creative, activation, hospitality, and all these other things. So when it came time to move into the NFL, and we looked at different talent opportunities. Peyton was a great connection. He was towards the end of his career, moving into this financial retirement stage. We're more positioning our company as insurance and financial services. He was incredible in front of the camera, and really helps us break through in a very competitive and cluttered category of an insurance and financial services. You do have Geico and State Farm and Progressive spending billions of dollars in advertising and sponsorships, and we have to be very strategic in where our spend. We're, again, a spender, but not anywhere near that. But that investment with Peyton is 2 to 3 times X based on the breakthrough and the quality of the creative that our advertising team puts out there. And then the connection back to the broader sponsorship that we have in the Walter Bean Man of the Year. He is a former winner and does a lot of great things in his community, and some would argue is probably more relevant now than he was as a player, given all the other things that he's involved in.
So brand perception is a big topic, especially in the last couple of years. So how are you measuring the impact of your partnerships with your talent, with the leagues, and how does that connect back to just the consumer engagement that you guys are looking for?
Yeah, I always say it's art, but as much science as you can put behind it. You have to have a belief that the sponsorship works, but you have to have the data and the ROI behind it to show the impact. And there's a lot of the top of the funnel measures that we are involved in these sponsorships to hit a targeted audience: the NFL fan, the golf fan, the soccer fan, wherever it might be. So we're doing brand health studies, seeing how we're tracking the gap between general market and the actual consumer. We have a ton of measurement from our earned brand exposure, so all the earned media that shows up from our logo, arriving at jersey sponsorships, or in the NFL honors during Super Bowl, or pregame during Super Bowl, all those different moments that we'll tally up and have an impression number that we want to see grow from year to year on each aspect of it. Digital, social, all the activation and the content that we put out there, the great opportunities that we have, to tell stories, about Nationwide in those environments, the PR impressions that we have, the lift analysis that we do from an entertainment standpoint. So we're doing premier events all over the country for our sponsorships, but also other big events like the Masters and Kentucky Derby, where we want to interact with our best producers and see a lift coming out of that that is a tangible ROI that we can put against it. So all of a sudden you have all these data points that you've got to then put into the right story of how each individual sponsorship's doing. These are multi-year relationships, so there's continuous improvement each and every year to grow and make it better. And then there are tough decisions you have to make to pull back or pull out if the relationship's not working. So it's that constant cycle of understanding kind of what's in the portfolio, where do we want to go as a company, and using all that data and measurement behind it to make those smart decisions.
So when it comes to employee engagement and culture, because of the partnerships and relationships you guys have forged throughout the years, how do you use those to enhance the kind of that culture and the employee experience?
Yeah, we've always tried to make that fourth objective. So it's build a brand, it's drive business, it's community philanthropic, but there is an associate engagement element that we want our associates, the 25,000 folks all over the country, big concentration here in Columbus, but we want them to be proud of the relationships that we have from a sponsorship standpoint. And to do that is to give them some exposure, get them out to an event. So we do ticket offers across every partnership that we have that are always really well received and well attended. We have one coming up with the Crew in Aston Villa in July where we've got a special offer for 300 folks to come out to that. But we've done thousands at NASCAR races in the past in Indianapolis and Kentucky. We do a lot around the Blue Jackets and the Clippers, and just trying to get some exposure to that. During Black and Gold Week for the Crew, we bring players, we bring merch, we bring the new jersey kit, which our associates can buy that has our name on the front. So just trying to find those just different touch points. During the pandemic, we used a lot of virtual appearances of talent and Peyton and others to talk to our associates at different points in time when it was important. So using all the assets that you have to get them to take pride, be aware of why we're in it, because it is a big investment that we're making as a company in these different sponsorships, but they need to see the kind of the full picture and the why and the impact and where all the different things that these sponsorships are driving for Nationwide.
And obviously you guys do a ton locally in the Columbus market. As a big golf fan myself, and as a sponsor of the Memorial Tournament, and tens of millions of dollars that you raise for the Nationwide Children's Hospital. Can you talk about how important it is to invest in the community and how you've seen those investments really make that impact locally?
Yeah, I mean, Nationwide's a Fortune 75 company, but it's, really has a local small feel when you're in Columbus, and that's why I've stuck with them for 20 years. They truly support the communities that we live and work in, and Columbus is no exception to that. Whether that's the different sponsorship partners that we have, the unique relationship as an owner of the Blue Jackets and builder of the arena, and now naming rights partner there. It's important for us to make an impact. All the foundation support that we have in the community. The Children's Hospital, I would say, back to the golf comment, we were a naming rights presenting sponsor of the Memorial for 11 years. It was fun to bring the hospital, Nationwide Children's Hospital, along with that to continue to grow their long-term partnership, but make it even bigger and give them exposure on a national scale and raise a lot of money. So I mentioned it briefly, but each year the sports marketing team, in addition to what our foundation gives the hospital, we raise about $6 million through the Nationwide Children's Hospital Championship, which is a Corn Ferry golf tour event in the fall at Scarlet. The Memorial, which we have a big Legends Luncheon that we raise a couple $1 million through that. The marathon, which we put the hospital's name on, but do a lot of fundraising around that. The crew, we have a unique partnership around mental health in the hospital. So all these different additional things that we can layer on as a company to support the hospital in that way. It has been incredibly meaningful to see the impact over my 20 years at Nationwide, to see what the hospital has been able to do here locally. And that's just one of the 4 pillars of community support that Nationwide has. The food bank, or the food collective here in Ohio, Mid-Ohio, United Way, and American Red Cross, given all the blood center that we have in Nationwide, but also all the claims and disaster relief efforts that we do in those areas. So really proud to work for a company that has focus in marketing. We're customer first and make sure we take care of everybody, but the communities that we're in, it's a real important thing. And we don't just cut a check. We're on boards. We volunteer. We have hundreds of volunteers out at these different events, golf tournaments and other things, from associates that just want to be involved and support the community.
Yeah, it's so important as any organization to just support your local communities, support the people that are supporting you. Even on the Barstool side, I'm sure you're aware of the Barstool Fund through COVID, raising $40 million for small businesses, and then kind of in our DNA is just always helping out local stoolies and helping out local FDNY, NYPD families who've been affected by any of the sudden loss, and so it's just hugely important to any company to make sure we're doing that. Kind of the last section we'll go through is kind of just the future of sports marketing. As Tom was saying, you can't be on a panel and not talk about AI, but also there's the fragmentation of just sports streaming and how you've had to manage through that. So how are you navigating all of that, and where do you kind of see the future of Nationwide in the next couple of years?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, sports sponsorship and sports media, and just trying to get in front of the consumers in a meaningful way. We've been in the NFL for 11 years. Our media spend has fluctuated a little bit. You're going to see us showing up more, starting with the NFL draft in Detroit, but in the fall, just because it's a place where live sports is still a very great way to connect with the consumer, get the message out. We have this new more than message that Nationwide's more than an insurance company, and you'll see that stuff start to come out. But the power of the NFL is one of those things that we made a decision to renew, which was not an inexpensive decision, and they're a great group, but a challenging one to negotiate with. But they continue to be amazing. 93 out of the top 100 broadcast shows last year on TV were the NFL, and the other few others were coming out of the Super Bowl and a couple other things that were connected to football. So it is the biggest show out there, and we're going to continue to find ways to connect and lean into that. But so are our competitors. So navigating those spaces are important. Some of the other areas that we want been trying to get more diverse in our sponsorship portfolio, and soccer has provided a unique opportunity to do that. We joined the crew in 2020, and since then they've won 2 championships, so I'm not sure the correlation there, but yeah, all of us. But great partnership. It's really taken off with lower.com field and the arena district and everything that's going on down there, which has been fantastic. The National Women's Soccer League, we got in at a great time in 2020. Rode some bumps through what has gone on in that league, but it's grown exponentially. We've gone from 10 to 16 teams. The valuations have gone from a couple $1 million to Angel City, I think, was just sold for 150 million to Iger. So yeah, there's a lot of great growth in that sport, and we're at the ground level. But we use those same tenets. We're trying to drive brand with that audience. We're trying to find business building opportunities, and then we just launched Lauren Holiday Community Impact Award, former national team player, soccer Hall of Famer that has done amazing things in her community. That we want to highlight these great women that have not had a mouthpiece to talk about the great things that they're doing. So any way that we can support the growth of that sport and women's sports in general, the Columbus Fury. We just got a jersey sponsorship with them this year in their inaugural season. So just trying to find different ways to, again, bring a little more diversity to our sponsorship portfolio, but also then lean in on the places that we think there's that, the biggest growth potential with ESPN, or with the NFL.
Thanks, Jim. Those are all the questions I had. I'll open it up to the floor if there's any questions from the group.
Love what you do here in the community, and keep putting up the lights on the building downtown. I love that we have the messages. You talked about some things you've had to pull out sometimes that are challenges. Can you talk about maybe one that you had to discontinue and why, and maybe it didn't work?
Yeah, probably the biggest one. So I came to, well, 2 over my career. We were the umbrella sponsor of the Nationwide Golf Tour, and that was what I was hired for. We had that was the first sponsorship at Nationwide. So we were on that for 10 years, and we made the decision to evolve that to the Memorial Tournament. So that was hard, but the right decision to kind of elevate the role. I'd say right after that, we added the NASCAR Nationwide Series, which we did for 7 years and was a significant naming rights partnership that had a long-term deal with ESPN, all these track sponsorships, and a big portion of our budget. And just based with the trends where NASCAR was going, where our business was going, we pulled out completely from that relationship. And we held on to a PSA with Dale Earnhardt Jr., but it was a place that we had invested a lot of time, energy, resources, really good people, good relationships, but it wasn't working for the business. And so those are hard conversations and decisions, but you got to evolve the portfolio. And more recently, we evolved our relationship with the Memorial Tournament. Great 11-year partnership, and Dan and the team are incredible. But it was time for us to change things up, and worked out for everybody. Workday came in and stepped up and done a phenomenal job. We've maintained a real significant investment, and the hospital has been able to maintain their connection to the event. So it's varying degrees. Some that don't completely work, or an issue happens, then you kind of pull and sever, and others you can transition in other ways. But those are a couple. But the NASCAR one, just because of the longevity of how long we had been in the sport, our association with Dale and what we did there, and kind of for us to pull out was tough.
Spoke to briefly, women's sports are obviously growing in terms of popularity. As you've seen that over the past 12 months, how was that impacting your strategy moving forward?
Yeah, we had a relationship with Alex Morgan a couple of World Cups ago, and we actually tried to get into the U.S. women's and men's national team in 2018, and Allstate, one of our biggest competitors, came in and outspent us. And so we were kind of caught flat-footed a little bit, and that's where we went to the NWSL and saw where soccer as a whole was going, with the opportunities with the World Cup coming in 26, and the Olympics and everything else that's going around it. But I would say in the last 12 months, it definitely has heated up. You see the Caitlin Clark effect, and unfortunately, she signed with one of our competitors in State Farm, but they've done a fantastic job creatively and bringing her story to life and the impact that she's making. So I think it's just trying to find, it's also a good time to get in. I mean, for the price point for where we are with the NWSL and I think the access that we have, and I think it's still one of the best sales pitches that I've heard from that league, that they knew they were at the NFL, 100, celebrating their 100th season and everything else. They're like, we're a young league. We don't have 100 years to say no. Like, they want to try stuff. They want to be creative. They want to, get out and grow their league. And they know they need big brands and partners like Nationwide to help elevate it. So I think trying to find those opportunities to connect in sports that are growing. I think the women that we've been able to interact with on the NWSL have been remarkable. There's 16 different brand ambassadors that we work, one from each team, and they're just willing to do a lot, and they have a great social media footprint. They're very adept in kind of getting messages and content out there that will connect in a meaningful way. And then we've tried to kind of pay it back by we've created a nationwide experience program, bringing 6 players back to Columbus for a 2-week immersion on what's like to work for a Fortune 100 company. It's amazing. All these women are highly educated at Duke and Stanford and all these places, but they get 6 or 7 years in of making $50,000 a year, and they don't know what that next transition is going to be. So we've taken this program. We're now entering our 3rd season doing that, and hopefully we're going to hire a couple eventually. But it's just our efforts to continue to support women's sports in that unique way.
Brian McDermott from Stingray. I heard you talking about these sponsorships. There's a lot of talk about the sponsorships moving into the streaming world. How different is that for you as you look at positioning your brand versus traditional broadcast media?
Yeah, we were in New York a couple weeks ago with all of our media conversations, and now that you look at the NFL schedule, the option to 2 games on Christmas to Netflix and Amazon, so you're having to have a lot more conversations. You've got to spread the dollars out a little bit, but I think it's important, to have a presence, in those different spots. And the Apple TV switch for the MLS was a big one for us. That we had an existing partnership and contract that was with Valley, and it was different. And I would say the level of sharing data is not where we would want it and you would normally expect, but Apple kind of runs the show there. So we're kind of, there's some growing pains, but I think you got to just find where you want your brand to come through, where the opportunities are. And, there's ownership positions and all those different streaming partners. So I think where finding the right audience you want to connect with, but it has complicated things, and you do have to spread the dollars differently than you did a few years ago.
You've mentioned a lot about individuals that Nationwide is partnering with. In a world where cancel culture becomes so big, how do you protect the brand?
Yeah, it's a great question. And last year we had 92 different appearances with different talent across all our different sponsorships, mostly in the NFL. But it's one thing. We're a 100-year-old brand, and we are a very conservative company overall, and allowing us to pass that brand through to a spokesperson is not an easy decision. So Peyton, a lot of background work, and he's obviously good in front of the camera, but everything else that you do from a background check and scrubbing social media and all the other things. The player, we're fortunate on the NFL front. Most of the players we're working with are connected to the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year. So these men, it's a great filter. They've been doing great things in their community for their entire career, and we get to work with them and talk about the best of the best in the NFL, because there are obviously other players that aren't doing what they need to do. So it's a balance, and I get asked the question all the time on NIL: is Nationwide going to jump in NIL? And I just again, 100-year-old brand, putting your brand in the hands of a 19-year-old college student, probably not good for my long-term employment. So we'll keep an eye on that. There's different roles. Like we did an event, golf event a couple weeks ago, and we used a couple of local Ohio State players in that. It was just more of a customer opportunity. But if you're going to put them out in front of the camera and have your brand directly associated with it, you've got to do all the checks and balances and make sure they are the right fit.
All right. I think that's it. Thanks so much, Jim. Thank you.